Well, Greeny, we're here. First to the floor, Celtics late night. This is the first time I'm speaking to you, I think, since we secured the
I think it is, yeah,
official.
right?
And we are so far clear. I'm not sure what we're ever worried about. We're 42-16. Now our bigger concern is, are we going to hit 60 games? I think now we're like on pace for like 59 point something games.
Yeah, 0.8, yeah.
Yeah. So, man, the Celtics have won 6 in a row, and they have a nice little test tomorrow with the Pistons that have won 7 in a row. But yeah, the Celtics this was
like
hospital
Jason
Celtics.
Tatum and the main Celtics. Like this was true hospital Celtics form. And I think my sticking point was, I think we were talking and it was they needed 8 and 4. And you were like, would you take like 7 and 3 or whatever it was? And I was like, you want to assume that they'll handle their business.
Just do it.
And then they won those flip 'em games where the 40-20 rule was in the balance. If you take care of this one, you're pretty much guaranteed. Yeah. And they went 8 and 1. Like, what more could you ask for? It sort of also backs up our earlier claims that really the issues was just a shooting slump, and there isn't a usage problem, a system problem, a lineup problem. It's just when guys are making jump shots at their normal level, this team is impossible to beat, and that's just the reality. That's still true.
In particular, Derek White hitting jump shots and Drew Holiday playing the way that he did against the Knicks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When we were in the midst of that frustrating period there, we harped on the Hawks game specifically and the Rockets game as well, but really the Hawks game. And it was like you were just 1 or 2 possessions away, like from really putting together and feeling like you're on the right track. And now that we were being proven correct because they were on the right track. They're 10-1 in their last 11. They're 13-3 in their last 16. They're clearly racking up wins now. And like tonight in particular, like this was like anytime you can get a win, I don't care who it's against, when you're missing 4 of your top 9, 2 starters, your 6th man in a Horford or whatever you want to call him.
Your entire front court. Yep.
You're all 3 of your big men who have become like part of your identity now. Like the development of Luke Cornett, the double big lineups. Like you always really, you often have a double big look out there now between the 3 different options that you have. And so you don't have any of those guys. I've been someone who's clamored for Jason Tatum at the 5 in the past.
We got it today.
Doesn't make sense really to do with this roster, but today we got it. Yep. And it was, I would say, mixed. And like my theory on Tatum at the 5 is that the offense will be awesome, but when the other team also doesn't have their big man and they're just switching everything as well, it kind of
you can get by with it. You can get by with it. You're susceptible to offensive rebounds, like we saw some pretty brutal second chance points in those fourth quarter minutes with Tatum at the 5, but you live with it because if he's going to be the biggest, if his opponent if it's like Scotty Barnes or some no-name other big man, like you don't have the depth to run a traditional lineup. But I think overall we were waiting. If you look at this season, they played like 60 games?
Yeah, 58 games.
Like that. So break it off into sections of 20, right? You had the 16-3 start, the 11-10 stretch, and now they're 16-3 over the last month. So it's like you have these. I think it's pretty fair to assume which one of those is the aberration. And it just so happened to coincide with nobody on the team could hit a jump shot. Now you have guys like Derek White, like you mentioned, hitting jump shots. Now Peyton Pritchard's hitting jumpers. Sam Hauser's well over 40%, has been over 50% for the last month. So it's no surprise that like they can afford to have these weird lineups because the guys are hitting shots. And when you're making shots, it allows you to set your defense. And let's not act like Toronto is like a world-beating offensive powerhouse. Like it's going to be a much tougher challenge, I feel like, tomorrow night against a red-hot Pistons offense where, I still felt like the Raptors were able to get to the rim at ease. Like there was really no perimeter resistance defensively on the wing. And it's like those are things that are going to matter tomorrow. And those are all rotation players. Like Hauser was getting blown by.
Everyone.
Like everyone. They gave up almost 70 points in the paint. You know what I mean? And that's just all dribble drive penetration, which is what I feel like they had cut out during this month of 16-3 basketball is like they're providing the resistance of the initial run of the season as opposed to when things were going south.
Yeah, like the defense has been really good lately, but a big part of that has been the rim protection of both Porzingis and Luke Kornet, really.
And Luke Kornet.
And so obviously with Tatum at the 5, obviously Cater was out there for stretches, so he's able to do a little bit of that, but obviously he's not Porzingis and he's not Luke Kornet either. So you expect it to not have the rim protection, but you're absolutely right. It was not a rim protection problem. That was like the last line of defense wasn't there. No one could keep their guy in front of them.
Right.
Jalen, Jason, Derek, Drew, it was the whole team.
Exactly. That's why I feel like if your takeaway is like the Celtics struggle without a big, I would say you're misguided. Like they struggled. It started at the perimeter, and you can't just assume that Porzingis or Kornet is always going to be there for a weak side block. Like even though Porzingis does that 10 times a game, like you still need to be able to guard your yard at a much higher rate up and down your starting 5, up and down your rotation than what we saw today. That's for sure. Because Cade is going to do that's what Cade wants to do tomorrow. He's a big combo guard who wants to get into the paint. So you have to be able to provide that resistance.
Yeah, and they definitely Toronto. It's tricky. So we've played Toronto, I think, 4 times now, right? Mm-hmm. We've had the 50-point blowout, overtime Jason Tatum game winner, one of the worst performances of the season when they were hungover, and then tonight. And so outside of the 50-point blowout, Toronto's played them really tough. And
they get up for it, for sure. Dude, I mean, you saw Scotty Barnes today. He's going crazy. It's like, and honestly, I think people wanted to clown him from that, but I almost I'm glad that they actually had to face some resistance and someone that was willing to punch back and didn't just they're the Celtics, we're going to, bend over and take it. It's like, I think it's important for the Jays to face ball pressure, by big, strong wings. Like those are the regular season reps that I think help. And, as long as you're not losing these games, there's nothing wrong with playing competitive basketball.
Yeah, look, I absolutely agree. Like the fact that these guys get up for the Celtics is good. Do I get kind of annoyed by the Scotty Barnes antics? Sure, he can play really hard without him screaming in everybody's face every possession.
Yeah, but if he's at home and it's listen, you have to expect that. I feel like he's always jazzed up when
I don't know.
So it's like,
is he playing like this when he's playing against the Atlanta Hawks?
No, no. But you know what? It's different. It's a division rivalry. You usually have been kicking their ass. I don't mind it. I think it's good that we actually get it because it makes for more entertaining games. As long as the Celtics don't go half a quarter without scoring, it's fine.
Yeah, no, it was a really physical game, and the Raptors made it really difficult for the Celtics to even catch the ball. Pritchard had the ball, or Derek had the ball, in Jalen, they were fronting Jalen, couldn't get a post up. Tatum couldn't get the ball. They forced the Celtics
couldn't throw that entry pass.
Yeah,
to the wing in the fourth quarter.
He was trying it.
So, but that's what I feel like playoff defense is going to be like. So I'd rather go through it now and be comfortable with it because everyone's going to trap Tatum and get the ball out of his hands. So it's paramount that everybody else on the roster feels comfortable in those moments.
Yeah, look, I didn't expect to see a Neemias Queta, J.D. Davison, Baylor Shireman, Torrey Craig, Jason Tatum lineup. That was, I said earlier, that might be his greatest test. That might be the worst lineup he's played with. I'd have to go back to the 2020 season.
I was gonna
maybe
say, does that rival like the
Carson
Romeo,
Edwards,
Semi, like that lineup?
Tremont
Like,
Waters, Taco.
yeah.
It's up there. It's been a while since we've had a lineup like that before because it's legitimately two G Leaguers. Cater's now not technically a G Leaguer, but he is your fourth big man. And then Torrey Craig is literally a buyout guy. And then Jason Tatum. And can't say they generated a lot of good offense. Tatum took a lot of tough shots in that stretch. And that's to be expected, obviously.
That Shireman floater,
Hey, needed it.
I noticed it, that's all I can say. Overall, he was, mostly a disaster. But I just think, that was Joe Mazzulla being a sicko, being like, how far can I push the greatness?
How many choices did he have? How many choices did he really have? Jalen, I haven't seen anything about the thigh contusion.
I was watching his presser after the game. He said he just was like, he had been tweaked a couple times, so he held him out late, like whatever. Okay. What didn't seem very concerned about it, but I don't know. Things are going good, so there's got to be a shoe to drop at some point.
I was thinking when he got hit and actually limped off, I was like, I mean, we haven't really had anyone miss 2 weeks. It's just been like little bits here and there.
I wonder if he sits on the back-to-back, to be honest.
I wonder what they're going to do because Tatum played 40 tonight. Hauser playing 40 tonight is kind of just a big deal because they trust his body to be able to play 40 minutes. And
they needed it, though. But you know what? I feel like they could have played a little bit more Jordan Walsh in that second half. He had good energy minutes.
I agree.
Early.
I don't get why Shyman played 10 and Walsh played 5. There was this period earlier in the season where Walsh was getting like a consistent it was like 4 or 5 games, but it was like 7 to 12 minutes, and then it just evaporated, and I'm not really sure why. Obviously, I think there was part of it was trying to get like the main guys.
I mean, I thought his minutes were better than Torrey Craig's today too.
The defense is good. He's very active.
You feel kind of like a dick because like he's been here for 5 seconds, but like at the same time, those threes are the threes that Torrey Craig needs to make if he's going to be on the floor. Because if he's not going to be if he's not making those threes, I prefer Walsh's youth, like energy and quickness over a guy who's 34.
And developing him, give him the minutes.
So the only differentiator for me is that Craig is a 39% career, 3-point shooter or whatever. Yeah. I can't have 0 for 4 on wide open threes. Like those may as well be Jordan Walsh developmental minutes, especially in a game like this. Like these are the second half of the year. Guys are resting. This is why you went out and brought in a rotational wing. If he's not going to make a jumper, like expectations are different when you're on a team that matters. So it's like I'd rather just develop Walsh in those instances. I don't even think he played in the second half.
Yeah, I don't think he did either. Just those 5 minutes in the first half, which I thought were pretty solid. Honestly, I thought Craig was fine.
Turnovers, yeah,
dude. I like the minutes. I think it's a veteran, just like definitely. Differential,
and that's fine.
Thing.
I'm just saying, like over these last, you have people who are saying, "Oh, Torrey Craig's going to take Sam Hauser minutes in the playoffs."
It's
like,
insane.
Like, what are we doing? Like, he's a buyout guy for a reason. This was the game you needed the buyout guy. And I thought Walsh was the best young deep bench player or best deep bench player overall to play.
I agree. Let him play, Joe. Let him play. It was. I honestly just genuinely really enjoyed the game because it's a long season. This is like very unique, and I thought it challenged the Celtics in some ways. I'll give you, if you have to give a game ball to someone, I think there's 2 candidates. And I think it's either Derek or Pritchard.
Yeah, I was going to say probably Derek or Pritchard. I'd say Derek just because of the blocks, in addition to the big shot making. Like I feel like he was big early to like help them early build that separation. But for me, what you do in a fourth quarter will always matter more. And I just feel like Derek White was so solid in that fourth and just makes such massive, massive shots to, when you need them most. So I'd probably give it to him and then like a mini game ball to Pritchard because, 20 off the bench in 20 something minutes is pretty good.
Man, Derek White, he's
incredible.
I mean, he's been back, but 22, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Like
5 threes, I think.
6 from 11 from 3.
Yeah,
Played
6
38 minutes. To only have the 2 turnovers with that much ball responsibility and that much ball pressure. Like the rim protection was insane. The 2 blocks, he had a drive where he crossed over, then spun, and had a floater.
Yep. And that was early in the fourth, or like midway in the fourth. Then there was
so
the threes. Because I think it was they tried to trap Tatum early. It was like probably 4-ish minutes left or something like that. And they tried to trap Tatum, and he shot it from I want to say 29, 30 feet, zero hesitation. And that's when he's making those threes. I mean, it's just a different animal because there's just no good solution. No. The playoffs to me are all about presenting problems that your opponent cannot solve. If you have Derek White making these big fourth quarter shots and shooting at a 40% clip from 3, how do you solve your Tatum and Brown problem, right? Because if they get into the paint, they're going to find him and he's going to make a 3. If you don't help, they're going to finish strong at the rim. So when you think of a playoff series and how you match up, you have to beat that problem 4 out of 7 times. So it's like, unless you have another month-long slump, if he is just at his level, I think that, because you're not even talking about the Porzingis element. I'm talking just because I feel like they go to Derek White in the fourth quarter more than – so it's like Derek and the Jays is like your fourth quarter death squad. And if he's making them at this clip, they become – there is no defensive solve for that, I guess, is my overall point.
There is no defensive solve for the Jays plus Derek plus Porzingis plus then Drew Holiday also, by the way, in his first 2 games back after. I love – side note, I'm just really happy that he's on the Al Horford plan.
Oh, yeah.
One, he showed us that he's back. That Knicks game was maybe probably his best defensive performance of the season. And then Brad Stevens was immediately like, yep, that's it for you. You're out for nothing, not even a made-up injury. Just out for rest tomorrow. No back-to-backs for you for the rest of the season. And so that 5-man group finally now over the past 9-10 games, the net rating started to come around after it was negative for the first
which I think is expected, right? Like they got used to each other, normal regression to the mean. Everyone's not going to miss every shot they take forever. So, I think Drew's corner 3 coming back was big. His defense and his sort of, reminder that he is, one of the premier, perimeter defenders in the league is important. And like you said, I don't need to see it all the time. I just need to know it's in there. Now that you know it's in there, we'll see you in 3 weeks or we'll see you in a month.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Maybe a little bit on K tomorrow. You had the extra day off, you know, and then we'll get out of there. But the fourth, you said they tend to go to Derek White in the fourth corner. Spoonie pulled these stats. So in games where the score is within 10 points in the fourth quarter and then overtime, Derek White is shooting 57.6% from the field or from 2 and 44% from 3 in those moments. So it's game within 10.
I bet his attempts are I bet his fourth quarter shot attempts are well within range of, both Tatum, because it just makes sense, right? Because normally in these moments in the fourth quarter, Tatum starts with the basketball. Once defensive trap him, he's going to give it to Derek White. So it's that's their formula. Or it's going to be Porzingis in the middle of a zone on a switch or something. You know what I mean? It's that's just why it's so important that the others feel comfortable in those moments. And I think, between the clutch numbers and those fourth quarter numbers, Derek White's the best clutch shooter on the team. So, we've seen it. We've seen it, for 200 games already. I think it's pretty, set in stone at this point.
Yeah, so fourth quarter, Jalen's leading the team at 4.7 field goals, Tatum at 3.7, and Derek at 3.4. Yeah. So, he's taking the same amount of shots as Tatum in the fourth quarter. Because, as you said, a lot of that fourth quarter teams are that's enough. Yep. That third quarter barrage that Tatum most likely went on, we're going to lose if we allow that to continue in the fourth quarter. They send help. The ball inevitably finds Derek White, and you get those types.
You get a guy on a catch and shoot 3 shooting it at a 40% clip. I mean, that's
Good luck.
And he's shooting them from 30 feet. It's not like, he's right up on the line. It's the same thing with Tatum's pull-up. It's like you have to go so far to guard them. And if he's also going to be aggressive with this little, driving spin floater game, it's like he's big enough. He's 6'4", so he can get into the paint if you close out too hard on him. It's like when you look at what Brad Stevens built, it's just like there's no holes. As long as they just play to their standard, there's no holes.
There is no holes. The margin for error feels like it's back. And that was what we were dealing with last season, where it's like they don't have to play perfect. They don't have to shoot well from three. Obviously, tonight they didn't shoot well from three, 29%. Anytime you shoot like that and you win is great. But, Toronto shot 15% from three, which I very much appreciated.
Yeah, needed that, yeah.
But yeah, so it's like not only are they, killing you with the talent, but the margins. And we talked about Pritchard just now. Derek just now, but Pritchard, so he has 20 points tonight. Only 4 for 13, so he did some work inside as well. But that offensive rebound that he grabbed, like when the game was within,
I think it was
7
like
or
Tatum,
9.
Tatum missed the 3, right?
Yeah. And he goes right up in there. Like Shed is his main defender, so that's a small guy. But you barely even see Pritchard until he has the ball in the midst of 4 Toronto players, and then they don't even score out of that play. But that just runs another 10 seconds off the clock as you're trying to get towards zeros, as you milk your 7 to 11 point lead. And I
literally
awesome.
didn't even see, like you said, like when you see 2 Raptors go up for it, I didn't even know that there was anybody in there. So then when they come down from their jump and they don't have the ball, I'm like, who the hell has the ball? And you see Pritchard low man dribble, and it's like, did he just grab? That's what I immediately tweeted it. I had the same feeling watching that I did during some random Drew Holiday steal when I tweeted, like, you just can feel that Drew Holiday is going to have a big playoff steal. I immediately tweeted, I said, you can feel that Peyton Pritchard's going to have a massive playoff offensive rebound. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know where it's going to happen. I just know it's going to be a close game. They're going to be up by a little or down by a little. Tatum or Brown's going to shoot a 3. It's going to rim out, and Peyton Pritchard, of all freaking people, is going to come out of there. You can feel it in your bones with the way he rebounds the basketball.
And the thing with this team, it's like there are so many concerns. It's like, okay, Tatum didn't have an efficient scoring night. What a huge win. Granted, he had 11 assists and he had 6 turnovers. You do some of the things you need to do in order to beat the Boston Celtics, and then Peyton Pritchard kills you with 2 offensive rebounds, and it's like, and this is just what he does. He is straight up one of the best offensive rebounders for his position and size, like 2 years in a row now, and he's been doing it since he came in the league.
Yeah, and honestly, it's wild when you think about it, because like you said, they did a lot of things that usually lead to a loss. They were sub 30% from 3. Tatum had the same amount of turnovers as baskets. They turned it over 4 straight times or whatever to open the fourth quarter. Like, they only had 13 points in 9 minutes, so that you got the fourth quarter collapse. It's like they literally did everything that usually leads to a loss. But it's those small plays around the margins that bought them extra time to kill the clock. And when it was, a 7-point game, could have gone either way. You bought another, possession or 2. Now it's a 9 or 10-point game. And that is what sort of carried you through. Because, I hate to say it, but against a better team, the way they played this game, they probably lose it.
Sure, but it was, yeah.
This undermanned team, against a better team, with how they executed down the stretch, it's a much different conversation.
Sure. I mean, they're if they have their, 4 other players, maybe.
Right. I'm just saying in this
totally.
In this instance of this, this caliber of play was good enough to beat the Raptors as opposed to, a team with a pulse.
It was wire to wire. Didn't end up getting too close. I would say the other Missoula ball, I haven't seen the quotes yet. I wonder if he mentioned this because he loves end of quarters, these little moments that can flip games. And it was the end of the third quarter, and quickly goes on like a little run, and he cut the lead to 7 quickly hits a floater to cut it to 9, and then he gets to the line, and he gets to 7 with 40 seconds left. Pritchard drives and finds Hauser for a 3 with 29 seconds left to push the lead back to 10. They get a turnover, and then Pritchard hits another 3 with 1 second to go in the third quarter to push the lead back out to 13. And that's your ball game. Like if that doesn't go perfect, then that lead that ends up being 10 is down to like, you're down to 5 and maybe a couple of possessions go the other way. And those little moments, those little margins, that's why I love Pritchard's game so much, because it was like really timely moments.
Yeah, I mean, scoring and non-scoring, like I felt like even his defense on Scotty Barnes forcing misses, like he was just very, very impactful, didn't turn the ball over, missed some wide open ones that he's probably sick over. So it's like, could have been even better if he just hit a wide open corner 3. And he's one of those guys where you know what you're getting. And I think his evolution is making impact in all the other ways but scoring, because early it was like he's an off-ball shooter. You live and die with his shooting variants. Now you can trust him to initiate offense, run pick and roll. You can trust him to hit the glass. You can trust him to, make the right play, come up with timely energy plays. And he's a complete player. And, I loved his transition where he's showing patience at the rim and bodying guys off, bigger players off him. Like, those are the leaps in his game that we did not see. Even last year, he's just so much more comfortable with contact, and I think that's really helped him.
That was a beautiful sequence. We had the Derek White, one of the 2 Derek White blocks on one end, which was followed up by Pritchard bodying RJ Barrett at the other end, got him with a pump fake, and then finished at the rim. The development of him, this staff now, the development of, and you got to give credit to the players as well, obviously. Like, Pritchard's clearly just a psycho. But the development of Pritchard, Hauser, and Cornette, like that's the reason this team is deep. Like this team is now
they're
deep
all on
and talented.
And they're all on minimums, and
they're all on free. 7. They're all free.
Yeah, it's like those are the margins that honestly, that's why between like the Walsh and Shireman, like you just need to hit on one of those.
Yep.
One of those pieces. Like it's a roulette. You're throwing shit against the wall. And you just need one thing. That's what's going to make this thing sustainable. It's because you're not going to be able to afford, the mid-level guys. So it's like you need to find the Cornettes of the world and get value at it. Like Xavier Tillman, in a game they didn't have a front court, didn't play.
Dude,
so it's like
his knee must be not in a good place right now.
Like that to me, that's insane that he couldn't even play like in a game where you literally didn't have a front court. But that's the importance of like, they don't really have, Anton Watson, you have to develop, man, because they don't have a way to replace that roster spot. So it's like, it just goes to show if you stay committed and you bring in the right people like Hauser, or I'm saying like Pritchard, like there's no doubt in your mind he's going to put in the work to become great, and I think the same way it was important for Tatum and Brown to be molded by Al Horford, I think it's very important for this next wave to be molded by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, because they are like the only superstars who are model like citizens in everything you would want in franchise players on and off the court. So I think that's really going to matter.
It's a great point, man. Like, it's not a huge surprise that some of these guys coming up are developing when the culture and the role models are filtering down from Al Horford, Brad Stevens, and then Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But yeah, Pritchard sounds like he's always been this type of guy, but that was obviously fostered. But to foster that mentality and like to have him and Jaylen, like it sounds like just who can prove that they're working harder type of thing. Just like that stuff all adds up. It's the same with talking about, battling on the margins for offensive rebounds. A play from Missoula that we loved tonight as well. The ATO, they were like, we're struggling to get buckets. I think it was in the fourth quarter, called the timeout with like 2.1 seconds. Beautiful ATO, which led to Derek White kind of throwing it over the backboard to Cater for the 2. Got to give credit to Joe. I think in general for this game, like this is like a coach's, wet dream at times. Like, obviously you want the talent, but it's kind of fun to like, okay, what can I do with no bigs? J.D. Davidson's out there at times. And all right, ATO, and we got to generate some points. And we got the 2 points with 2 seconds on the shot clock. You don't score in those situations. So that was huge.
That's kind of like your point about the Pritchard 2-for-1. It's like that two. I think the score was probably within 7 or 8, at that time. It was one of those plays where you have to get something quick. And I like the idea of being in that spot and going at the rim because I wasn't expecting it. I think in that instance, you're thinking, okay, someone's going to curl off the screen and take a jumper. Great situational awareness by Missoula to make the substitution. I thought he was fantastic, locked in the whole way. I think it's really impressive with that talent available that shoots under 30% from three to still win on the road by double digits is pretty impressive. And I just, it's those small margin 50-50 plays that when they were slumping, it went against them, right? You're getting the, Amen Thompson floater game winner. You're getting these random 50-50 play, against you. When you're on the other side of it, now that playoff Derek White actually was off the Raptors and you get the ball again with 2.1 seconds left and you execute it and things look great. So it's like, it's just one of the things of an 82 game season. You're going to have those stretches of everything goes your way and everything goes against you.
And I think that there was just simple, it's December, it's January. We've played so much basketball. We took our eye off the ball. And I think effort can be the wrong word. It can be just like the general focus and buy-in on these little things that all add up. These like 7-point swings with 40 seconds to go. The ATO, like all these little things that led to a double-digit win where like, if no one's locked in and they don't execute that play, like they're up 7 with 3:20 to go. If they don't score then and then the Raptors go down the other end and score, like that's a 5-point game and things start to get really, really tight. Instead, you score, push it out to 9 with 3 minutes and 20 to go. Like you're feeling pretty good. So
yeah, you're back to having the leverage in the scoreboard math where it's like you are still able to dictate how the rest of this game can go. Once you get it into that 2-possession game with the crowd behind you, now you're getting a little bit tighter. And it's like you said, those small margin plays are what flipped it. It's the same as what we always would say with the Hawks loss in Jrue Holiday. Like you flip that. So that's the razor thin difference of their stretch over the last month. You could make a case they should be on a 19-game winning streak when you think about it. It's like they got a prayer, 10 threes against Dylan Brooks, a random Lakers, hot streak shooting from 3 game. They can't shoot. And you had Klay Thompson going nuclear. It's like things that just have not happened are the only things that have stood in your way for the last, since end of January.
Yep. It's the Celtics, I think, you take those things away and they're looking very, very good over this stretch. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, I thought, as I kind of mentioned, Tatum had to throw up a bunch of kind of grenades, but 9 assists at halftime, 11 assists for the game, 6 turnovers you don't love. I thought it was a pretty good game. I thought he was just asked. He was tasked with a lot of it was just a tough job for him today.
Yeah,
tough lineups, no spacing.
Outside of his ball security, which was just bizarre, it's like you don't have to worry about that. I thought he was really, really good in the last 3 minutes, even with the shot chucking. His screening was good. When he had to get to the free throw or into the paint and produce, he hit that little mid-range jumper. His rebounding was there. The defense, he ripped it away. I can't remember.
That was really nice.
Who
was that? Who he stole it from?
But he closed the game, in my opinion. So you look at the threes and you're like, 3 of 11, 3 of 12, isn't all that great. But again, like 4 rotation plays were out. I would say the same thing about Jaylen. Like when they struggled early in the second quarter and he had to get shots up, like someone has to score with all this offense out. So I thought both of them were, they set the tone early and I thought they were good enough to win. But obviously the ball security for both was an issue. I didn't love the on-ball defense at times on the perimeter. And again, you don't love the shot diet, but you understand the context around it. So it's mostly whatever in that regard. But he has it's hard to complain. We're talking about what 20-something points, eight rebounds, 9 assists. Like that's a great game for 95% of the NBA.
Yeah. I mean, he still led the team in plus minus. Like, this is just kind of what he does. Like, the offense struggled without him out there. And even with some of the lineups that he was out there with, I thought, solid game from Tatum. Like, Jalen, man, if this guy could make a 3 soon, we are going to be, I think we're kind of like, we're really on the precipice of getting the version of Jalen we got, at least offensively, in the playoffs last year. Because, again, 10 for 18, 24 points. That means he was a monster from 2-point range. So
because I don't think he made it. I think he was 0 for 4 or 0 for 5.
0 for 5. He was 10 for 13 from 2-point range. And these guys, he did a really good job selling us down. Anytime the Raptors were making some runs, he would bully someone. His stuff from the 2-point range has been fantastic. I don't need him to be 40%. Can we just get above 30?
I was going to say, I need 33, 34%. That's it.
That'd be great.
I need to be to where I can somewhat rely on your open catch and shoot 3 is all I need from him.
He's been 40% from the corners, and is he above the break's been really bad. Obviously today he missed all of them. It's like even if he can make the ones from the corners, that's fine. I feel like it's got to find its level at some point here because it's really been.
But you know what? I'm happy that he's taking them because him not taking them is worse than taking them and missing them. Because you can get the offensive rebound and you can generate offense off misses. Not taking them and either dribbling into traffic or a low percentage contested 2 is not what I would want. So I want his attempt. They got to be 5 to 6 a game just to keep the engine running.
Yeah, and I find it hard to believe that a team is going to adopt the strategy that the Golden State Warriors tried last season, where they just left him wide open, essentially treating him like a Kyle Anderson, a Dylan Brooks, one of these types of guys. Because I think enough teams in the NBA have been burnt by a Jaylen Brown hot streak at this point, especially the teams that they've played against in the playoffs. Like the idea of helping off Jaylen to the point where he's getting very clean catch and shoot jump shots, I don't think is what the Grizzlies did to Drew Holiday earlier in the season. I don't think that's a sustainable option when you get to a playoff series. Jalen's got too much confidence. He's hit too many big shots for that to actually be something that works. But I thought he was really solid. I thought he struggled a little bit early, but 24 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He's been over 50%
free throw, right? 4. He's 80% from the line over his last 10 games.
He hasn't missed a free throw since coming back from the All-Star break. You'd think that would translate to being able to hit a 3 at some point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like he's shooting 80% from the line for the last month. His mid-range is back. What is it about a wide open 3 that he just can't again, 33, 34% is on. Give me 2 for 6 every game. That's all I'm asking for.
I guess, and the true shooting number for him has been close to the 57, 58 range over the last 15 games. And that's right where he is. So the fact that the free throw percentage has come up and the free throw rate has come up, it has, and the 3-point percentage, I think over that span has been slightly above 32. So tonight, despite going 0 for 5 from 3, he had a 60.7% true shooting. So if he's
good enough.
So I don't care where the pendulum lands. If he's going to go 100% from the free throw line and 0% from 3, I guess it doesn't really matter how the points are getting put on the board as long as they're getting put on the board. But his 2-point ability and his ability to bully guys.
I will say I would very much not be okay with an 0 for 5 from the free throw line performance. If they were to switch, that would not sit well with me.
Well, think about it. That's 5 versus 15 points.
I know. I'm getting Missoula ball, but I'm just saying, in my own sanity, I would not appreciate that.
All right. So both everybody. I thought this was a true team win. Is there anyone else in particular, anything from this game you want to hit? I have one broader thing to throw at you before we get out of here, though.
All right. I'm trying to think. I'm really interested to see. This was the second game in a row that the non-Tatum minutes struggle to start the second quarter. And then that same lineup is awesome to start the fourth quarter. So I'm curious as to why that is. Like, what about that first run is weird for this team that when they're in a higher leverage situation in a fourth quarter, like you could argue that's the more important shift that you have to win. But I'm just very curious of I feel like their approaches are the same in both stints. You have Jalen being aggressive to the rim. You got, the whether it's White or Holiday when he plays, like the off-ball shooter is there, letting him fly. Pritchard's usually on the floor. It's just a very weird quirk that is, when you think of if they're going to go with the, Tatum plays the whole first quarter rotation, then that non-Tatum second quarter is pretty important. I tend to prefer Tatum rests at 6 minutes, comes back at 2 minutes, and then starts with Tatum in the bench, because I just feel like Tatum against a reserve opponent lineup is going to be, way more advantageous for you. So that was kind of weird, but I mean, that's nitpicking again. Like, you're down so many rotation players. It's kind of like just win the game and move on to the next one. It's hard to make any concrete conclusions over, lineups that we will never see in any game that matters.
Yeah, I think Jalen, in the both two games, the Knicks game and this game, they're those Jalen led lineups. Just a few evil Jalen stuff to start, and then I don't know if it's just he gets more comfortable or his handle started to tighten up, because I think those turnovers came earlier in the game, not later in the game for Jalen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the second quarter, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, look, the non-Tatum minutes can sometimes be an adventure. They've been very good with Tatum, on and off the court. I think they have a 6 or a 7 net rating with Tatum off the court, which I know is used by the haters against him, but for the health of the Boston Celtics is a fantastic thing that the Celtics are not as good with Tatum on the court, but still very good with him off the court is a good thing. So I'm not too worried. Joe typically tries to put him with his buddy KP and also Derek, and maybe
it's just a very weird quirk that it's you would think that everyone is still fresh in the second quarter for the most part, because it's really the bench's first run, and for whatever reason it's they run the same shit in the fourth quarter. You got Jalen creating, initiating, and attacking, but now he's not dribbling off his foot. Well, what's causing you to dribble off your foot in the second quarter? It's just a little weird quirk.
It is a weird little quirk. A weird little quirk in the NBA universe. I'm going to play this for you, Greeny. Something that happened in the NBA yesterday.
Okay. Watford. And we're going the other way. Marcus Smart with a chip up.
No, he did it. No, he
looking like Shawn Michaels.
Down the stretch in that fourth quarter, some huge defensive plays and energy. What was it on that end of the floor that you wanted to just bring it tonight?
I just wanted to continue to show everybody I still do this shit. Excuse my French. I think a couple people forgot, and that was it. Got a good young team here. We play our ass off, and I just want to come in and contribute.
Marcus Smart is back.
I'm emotional. He can't. That's my guy, man. That's the dude. It pains me to see him stuck in basketball hell. It's it is weird that even though he didn't get traded for Porzingis to Washington, that they've Freaky Friday'd each other and are just now he's in basketball Siberia. It's awful.
Yeah, but look, hey man, he played really well yesterday. He's been injured a lot throughout the season, so seeing him come in and be able to have an impact, look pretty relatively healthy. Honestly, I thought as well. Seeing him do the kip up, and I was cool.
It's you can't look at your ex's Instagram, right? No. It's I love it. If I see him do the no look behind the set three, from the corner, I'm gonna lose it. It's it shouldn't be this way, but it's just life. And just with all the Rob highlights, I can't get enough of watching Rob in Portland, and you just want them to do so well, because they were as much a part of this championship as anybody else, even though they weren't on it, because they wouldn't have won it without him, one way or another, whether it was their, development and experience of prior teams to what they brought back in a trade. It's like they literally don't win it without either of them. And, you just hope for health and you hope that they're, back to their level. Because, listen, we can all dream of one day what might happen. If he's getting traded to the Wizards and nobody else wants him, then maybe he's, his market is what it is. And, we can entertain certain things, but, that's at least another year away. So you just hope for health, I think, above all else.
Yeah, man, look, you see what he did yesterday, and hopefully if he can stay healthy for the rest of the season, he will be like an expiring contract going into the next season. I could definitely see a contender or any team really that's looking to get better trading for 1 year of Marcus Smart and potentially looking to extend him and re-sign him after that if he's able to stay healthy. Because, yeah, I still as long as he can stay healthy, I can see him still being an impactful player. Maybe he's like his peak days are behind him, and that scares me too. Like if he has a good close to the season, and someone like the Warriors now in their next transaction cycle, they have like they win a first round series, they get bounced in the second, and now they've got they're resetting in this like late career Jimmy, Steph, Draymond, and they
like
bring in
Buddy Hield or something. Yeah.
I don't like that. But at the same time, I can live with it being a West contender. Then at least because then if we face Marcus in the finals, that's a good problem to have. If I'm facing Marcus Smart in the finals, at least it's happening in the NBA finals. It means the Boston Celtics are back in the NBA finals. I can live with that.
That's honestly, it's because there's no player in the league I want to win a ring more than Marcus Smart now. So to be the one that has to deny him that ring would just be, I don't know. That's a matzo ball I'm not sure I'm ready to handle at the moment right now. Just, I just want him to come back one day, but that dream is
he will.
And that's
he will come back one day. I think it'll happen because I was going to say we're not retiring his jersey probably. But he could. No. Yeah, he could retire.
And listen, I had to watch Isaiah Thomas play for the Lakers. You know what I mean? So it's I've seen some shit. So there's no team I think outside of a select few that would really make me disgusted to see Marcus on. But now unfortunately I just have to prey on the Grizzlies' demise. I wish I didn't have to. I wish they could make a deep run, but now I legitimately have to prey on their demise. So
yeah, well, it may be coming in the form of Ja Morant looking washed half the time. They ended up winning today. Ja Morant actually had 29 and 8.
I think he hit the game tying shot.
I saw that to send it to overtime. I'm pretty sure. And what's frustrating is they just salary dumped.
I know. You wouldn't just want that playoff experience. Yeah. You legitimately salary dumped him. Yeah. So I have to prey on your demise. That's how this works.
Yep. I think that's totally fair. All right, Greeny, it's been a pleasure. Had to reminisce. When I saw that with Marcus yesterday, I knew I had to bring it to you.
It's the best. I miss it. I miss it dearly.
Yeah, loved and trusted forever. That's the thing. He's always going to, similar to when Isaiah Thomas is around. No one loves IT more than Celtics fans. Obviously, he had his best seasons with the Celtics, and I think that's obviously going to be true for Marcus as well. He'll eat for free in Boston, I think.
And he's like their version of Nomar. You were the sacrificial lamb that you just had to. Brad Stevens is a ruthless motherfucker. He did some stuff that I don't think many had the guts to do, and thank God it panned out. That's all I can say. It's thank God it wasn't for nothing.
Yeah, I just watched Luka get blocked at the rim, and thankfully Brad's not dumb enough to do something like that. Thank goodness. Yeah, at least the Mavericks did their version of the Marcus Smart. Obviously, it's not the.
It's a little bit more.
It's not talent-wise, but there was an emotional attachment there. Yeah. And the Mavericks just made their team much, much worse. So for some reason. So far. It's only a 5-point game right now. So.
Oh shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that, Greeny, it's been a pleasure. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you all. Till next time, go Celtics.